Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Telescope Podcast. Thank you for listening.
What's up, everybody? Everyone in this place, if you could do a handstand, I want to see your feet up in the air.
Hello. Welcome to the Telescope Podcast, the show where we look at geek culture through the spyglass of faith. Can you unmask and demystify God? That is the question we are going to explore on today's episode. But first, have to say, rest in peace, Mr. Chadwick Boseman, the Black Panther. What a loss for us. Passed away from colon cancer on August 28th of this year. He will be sorely missed. I really should do an entire episode on Chadwick Boseman and Black Panther, but that is not today's episode. Before we hop into today's episode, let me go through a few other news items. These are more happy. For one, the Winona 7 movie theater is open. You can come from around the world to check out the amazing, very small movie theater in our wonderful city of Winona, Minnesota. Coming up in the theater is Wonder Woman on October 2nd. The Mandalorian Season 2 is premiering on the small screen October 30th. Black Widow 11/6, that would be November 6th, and Dune coming up in December 18th. All right, let's jump into this. Today we're talking about Stargate and A Vast of Night. They're two movies that I watched, and they kind of sparked some questions in my mind. And so here's just a little bit about the movies, a little review. Especially The Vast of Night is interesting because it's new. It's kind of a Twilight Zone thing, kind of spooky. I really enjoyed it. I loved listening to the cool 50s dialogue. They loaded the script with snappy 50s dialogue, which I cannot even begin to imitate. You know, things like Daddy-O and whoa, hot dog. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And the cast had great chemistry. There was cool cinematography. And it was creepy, not scary, but it was just fun to watch. And then the original Stargate, of course, is a classic. It spawned 3 movies, 5 TV/web shows, and it's a classic. It inspired so many other things and gained a huge audience, so check them out. They're on Prime, and you can go watch them yourself. Well, this is the show where we look at geek culture through the spyglass of faith.
Bring forth the telescope.
So I asked this question at the beginning of the show: can we unmask God? And it came from the movie Stargate. There was this moment in Stargate where these humans unmasked this alien, or actually it was a human being controlled by an alien, whatever. They unmasked this guy and they realized that he was not a god. He was just a mortal being, just like them. And it caused this uprising and, it was amazing. And I just thought, can we unmask God? Because I think a lot of people believe, yes, we can. They believe God's been disproved by science or, by archaeology, and they just, cast aside faith. So can we? Can we disprove God? Or can we unmask God? And I would say no. People do experience watershed moments where their doubts crystallize and they consciously walk away from faith in God. However, it's not really possible to definitively prove the non-existence of God. Many of the most staunch atheists have recognized this and have changed their official position from atheism to agnostic. Why? Because it's nearly impossible to prove a negative statement like, there is no God. You would need infinite knowledge to know with 100% certainty that God did not exist. So agnosticism is I guess you could say it's a softer position. It simply says either God most likely does not exist, or if he does exist, he is not knowable. Agnosticism makes its case, and this is the key thing right here. It makes its case and places its faith. It places its faith in the non-existence of God, while admitting while admitting that it is impossible to disprove the existence of God. So that's kind of a mouthful. What I'm saying is, agnosticism places its faith in the non-existence of God on one hand, but on the other hand, it does admit that it is not possible to completely disprove the existence of God. So, to believe or not to believe, that is the question. Both believer An unbeliever must take what can be known or take the facts and make a leap of faith. And as a pastor, as a Christian, I get very frustrated by people who can raise questions, make snarky comments, and then write off Jesus and write off faith without doing any work to find answers to their questions, okay? And answers are available. But the question is, will you look for them, okay? Now, why did I pair the movie A Vast of Night with this? Because on one hand, in Stargate, you've got the unmasking of God. And this is a spoiler alert, so be warned. This is a spoiler for A Vast of Night. In the end, in the movie A Vast of Night, the main characters end up being abducted by aliens, and it's very unsettling and a little unexpected. Maybe you'll see it coming. Well, of course, if you just listen, you're going to see it coming now. You can spoil it for your friends. But that's what happens. In the end, they come face to face with a power of technology and a civilization that's advanced beyond anything they imagined, and in the end, they end up being taken. And I think that, can we unmask God? No. Are we going to come face to face with a God who's been there all along and who's greater and more powerful and more amazing than we ever imagined? Yes, I believe so. Now, there's a group of scientists, and this is wild. It includes Francis Crick, who famously discovered the double helix structure of DNA with James Watson. And these guys believe, and along with many other people, believe that our world was deliberately infected with life by aliens. Scientific American did a story on what these guys believe, and the story is called The Origins of Directed Panspermia. So panspermia is this belief that our world was infected by life, or infected with life, I guess you'd say, by aliens. So here's a little snippet of that article. Leslie Orgel, or Orgel, I'm not sure how to say his name, scientist anyway, he once proposed that life on Earth was the result of a deliberate infection designed by aliens. Francis Crick and Orgel proposed their directed panspermia theory at a conference on communication with extraterrestrial intelligence, organized by Carl Sagan, another big name. And this conference was held at the Byruka Observatory in Soviet Armenia in 1971. This theory, which they described as an highly unorthodox proposal and bold speculation, was presented as a plausible scientific hypothesis. And it's a scientific hypothesis that continues today. So is it more reasonable to believe that aliens are responsible for life on this earth than it is to believe in God? I don't think so. I don't think it is. And the reason that I don't think it's more reasonable to believe in aliens than to believe in God is because if you are postulating aliens as the fathers or the architects or the planters of life on this planet, that means that you are recognizing, you're assuming that we can see evidence for these aliens. And I believe if you read that article, it gives a few of the reasons why when these scientists look at genetics and DNA, remember, Crick was involved in discovering the double helix, so he's a DNA guy. They see some things that they think point to intelligence. Wow, intelligence. Now, I'm a simple guy, I'm not a scientist, but we see the effects, and I see the effects of intelligence in everyday life. Intelligence is the thing that creates information. When you see words on a sign, you know that intelligence put it there. When you see things in geometric shapes and patterns, you recognize the effects of intelligence, okay? I mean, it's everywhere. It's all over the place, the effects of mind and intelligence. And so if these people are recognizing the presence of mind and intelligence in nature, they're attributing it to aliens. Why not attribute it to God? And, as a Christian, I see God is revealing himself in nature and revealing himself through Scripture, and it's not that big of a leap of faith to me to believe in God. These scientists, and this is, I think, my main point, they are making a leap of faith. As I said, it's not possible to prove with 100% certainty the non-existence of God, okay? So they are forced to make a decision, to make a faith choice. And they've chosen to put their faith on aliens, which they haven't seen, which they have not communicated with, right? I mean, maybe they've been abducted and they know things we don't know, but I don't think that's likely. As believers, we're doing the same exact thing. We're looking at the world, we see the fingerprints of God, or we believe we see the fingerprints of God, and we've made our choice to put our faith in God. So, hey, I hope that encourages you today. Kind of a fun topic, a couple of fun movies. Go check them out. I believe they're still on Amazon Prime, so if you are a Prime member, you can watch them for free. All right, well, thank you so much for listening. It's been a blast doing another episode. I can't wait till the next time I get to record and talk about this stuff. Until then, take care, and bye-bye.